welcome to this training webinar organized by the POCITYF Consortium. Hopefully more participants will join in during the morning, and the event is organized in the framework of the European Sustainable Energy Week. We are part of the Energy Days, so huge thanks also to the European Commission to support us. And I will just say this and to introduce our speakers. Please welcome Elena Conte, Jo Cravigno Eleni. I'm sorry for your Greek surnames. I'm quite sure I will miss some speaking. Okay, Tsumpanidou, Vasilis Sougakis, and Konstantinos Mavropanos. And I'm sorry again, and welcome to all the participants. So I will leave the floor to João Cravigno, a POCITYF coordinator, to introduce the meeting. Enjoy the meeting.
So hello to all. First of all, thank you for being here and join us in this webinar, training webinar, focused on replication. Let me start out. I will provide you with a brief context of the project, and then Elena Conte will speak about our replication work, and our colleagues from CERT and Ioannina will talk about their replication efforts as well.
Here it is.
Yes. Okay, yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. Let's skip over then for our first slide. So I'll just provide you with a very brief context of the POCITYF project. Probably you are all aware, but nonetheless, it's important here. So POCITYF, our project is a H2020 Smart Cities project focused on PEBs, positive energy blocks and districts, more specifically on culturally and historically protected urban areas and cities. So the project and the concept of PED itself connects several aspects or pillars, how we like to call it. So from energy, urban planning, technology, citizen engagement and culture, or even finance, because in the end, the urban transition is not only a technical or a technological challenge, but also social, political, economic. Next slide, please. So the project brings together 46 partners across 13 different countries, 8 cities, and we are considering 73 different elements or solutions around or deployed around 4 positive energy blocks. These solutions are organized into 4 different energy transition tracks, each focused on one of the pillars I mentioned earlier previously. First, focused on building retrofitting and renewable systems. Secondly, grid interaction, storage, and flexibility. Third, focused on e-mobility. And fourth, last but not least, on citizen-driven social innovation. Next slide. So the key question is, how do we move from these examples on our lighthouse cities in pink on the map to meaningful actions on cities across Europe, namely our fellow cities here in blue? So the replication work that we've performed focuses specifically on collaboration between these cities, pink and blue, learning activities, technology, and performance monitoring, tailored obviously to each local context, and all working together to support or build each city's vision and planning for 2050 timeline. So now I will close my introduction very quick. Thank you all again for being here, and I will pass the word to Elena Conte. Speak a little bit of our project's focus on replication.
Thank you, Joao. Thank you very much. So good morning, everyone. I'm Elena Conte, project manager in Energy at Work, and in POCITYF, we were the replication managers. But before we start our dive into the replication phase, I would kindly ask all of you participants to please scan this QR code, as during the presentation, there will be some interactive sessions asking for you to input your feedback or your comments related to some questions we will be asking you. Okay, so at the beginning of our activities related to the replication, we started with an analysis of many other smart cities and communities, other projects that were ongoing or already closed at that time, of course. And we noticed that only in a few cases, the fellow cities reached effectively some concrete results at the end of their related projects. Just to mention a couple of base cases. So, for example, Valletta, that in Grossmarter, they investigated their charging infrastructure and implemented their first car sharing scheme, being a fellow cities in Grossmarter project. And Leipzig, actually, it was a fellow cities in Triangulum, and then it became a lighthouse in Sparks project. So this analysis allowed us to create our main replication objective, that was to make the replication plans effective and useful, to be reached via 3 effective, let's say, punctual objectives that are the creation of the replication plans and city vision for 2050 for all the fellow cities, mainly targeting the policymakers of the different cities. The approval of the plan in the City Council as a best practices document to be acquired by the technical stakeholders to implement these best practices in their own documents and projects. And finally, the adoption of the plan as a set of technical specifications for smart cities, targeting especially companies, to support the acknowledgement of the innovative solution to be eventually integrated in some other projects. Next, yes. So based on this analysis, we identified, together with our fellow cities actually, our very special replication roadmap. So basically, we started with an analysis of the benchmark framework in each of the fellow cities to identify the general description of the cities, the replication areas, the challenges, the initial list of stakeholders, main challenges and barriers, and the preliminary list of solutions that the fellow cities were mainly interested in replicating. We started also with some replication tools, in particular the knowledge transfer workshop and the fact sheets, but I will dive more into details in the following slides. Then the second phase is related to the building of the ecosystem and the analysis of the technologies. So basically, we organized these meetings in collaboration with the other project partners. Then we let the fellow cities the possibility to learn from all the documents and knowledge shared among the partners. And then there was also the update on the demonstration from the lighthouses about the progress ongoing in the project. In parallel, also, there was the analysis for each of the fellow cities about their internal planning and the business model to support, of course, the creation and the writing of their replication plans. You can see that all these pink, let's say, squares are surrounded by these pink stars, because very important activities was the interaction with the local ecosystem. So we really encourage the fellow cities to involve local stakeholders, citizen companies, etc., in order to strengthen the meaning of their work and subsequently the replication plans. Finally, there is the black square that is related to the implementation monitoring of the solutions, but it is in black as it is not part of POCITYF. As in the POCITYF project, the fellow cities only observe and learn, but of course, in parallel with their own means, they can, of course, proceed with their own projects. Next slide. So this is the first question for you. Have you ever participated in a smart cities and communities project with such a structure, with the lighthouses and the fellow cities in your experience? On the right, you can see the QR code if you missed them at the beginning, and also there is the code if you have problems. Okay. So replies are starting to arrive. It's very half and a half, I would say. Let's wait just a couple of minutes. Okay. Yeah, so here I will just briefly describe you the replication main tools that we organized during our work in POCITYF. So one of the main activities that we organized together with the other partners of the project, and in particular with the Lighthouse Cities, are the knowledge transfer workshop. In the picture, you can find just an example of the workshop that we had in person during one of our general assemblies in EUSEW, which is one of the fellow cities of the project. So the main objective of this type of activity is to transfer as much information as possible from the lighthouses to the fellow cities, focusing on procedural and methodological information, lessons learned, and to deep the regulatory framework and the feasibility studies of the technologies performed by the lighthouses, all to support the replication process. Next slide, please. Yes, so another activity, a very important activity that we organized is the creation of these technical fact sheets. So in collaboration with the lighthouses, with the lighthouses and the technical partners of the lighthouses, we created this 2 sheets informative document just to summarize the key points related to each specific technology that we have as part of the POCITYF project, to create a very easy and straightforward access for the fellow cities to the solutions that we have in the project. The idea was to create a catalog of all the innovative solutions that we have in the project, so that the fellow cities could go and check which were the main interesting for them to include in their replication plans. A special focus was put on the compliancy with the cultural heritage buildings, as this is one of the main key aspects that we have to consider in the POCITYF project. Next slide, please. In parallel to that, we also exploited a set of different information, communication, and technology tools to support the calculation of KPIs or simulations of installation of the different solutions on the city map to support the replication plans. In the picture, you can find just an example of one of the tools that we developed as part of the POCITYF project to simulate the installation of solution, the creation of activities to simulate the KPIs, and to calculate a final set of values as costs of energy savings to support the replication plan's effort. Next slide, please. Apart from that, of course, throughout all our activities and the duration of the project, we created a very high number of documents, templates, Gantt charts, presentations, offline documents, etc., that we shared among the project partners, but also with the fellow cities, to target specific topics as a further support to the replication. Next slide, please. Other activities in parallel that have been carried out during our project were, of course, monthly or bi-monthly work package meetings to support the fellow cities and track their progress. Also, we encourage, as I was saying at the beginning, the creation of local work groups in order to let the fellow cities work in close collaboration with their local ecosystem for a more structured and deeper replication plan. And also we organized some co-joint sessions with other smart cities and communities projects similar to our POCITYF, such as IRIS, Response, and Sparks, in order to foster the knowledge exchange and the knowledge transfer also with external but similar projects. Next slide, please. Yes. Another questions. So in your opinion, based on what we also present, which solutions could best support the replication across different local contexts based on your experience or your opinions. Of course, if you have any questions anytime, you can also intervene. Okay, so targeted stakeholders groups, 2 answers. Knowledge transfer workshops. Yes, they were very important. It was a key activity. Local ecosystem mapping as well. Yes. The local ecosystem mapping. Yes. Technical fact sheets. About the fact sheets, actually, we took inspiration by looking at the work carried out in other similar projects. So also, in our opinion, it's a very important activity, but also flexible replication guidelines, yes. But the main is knowledge transfer workshop, yes. Other local solution. Thank you. So as a final outcome of our action, as we are approaching slowly but surely the end of our project, we identified a set of final replication guidelines that we suggested our fellow cities to follow at the end of our project. So we suggested them to restrict the list of solutions to the inside the overall solutions that the POCITYF project has, to the most feasible, the most urgent, or the most important, or the ones that fit the most with the fellow cities ecosystems in terms of their needs, requirements, capacity, stakeholders to be involved, etc. To enhance the robustness and concreteness of the feasibility studies that they carried out as part of the replication action. Another guideline was to focus only on just some buildings inside the replication areas, possibly the one owned directly by the municipality, to ease some internal bureaucratic processes and to ease also the collection of data if needed. We suggested them to investigate other projects that they are carrying out or they are actually planning in the city urban planning, and to focus on possible synergies. So to fit what they learned and the experience gained in POCITYF into other already ongoing activities in the urban planning as a possible way to maximize the impact of the POCITYF project. We also suggest them organizing more meetings with their local stakeholders with, for example, the concept of energy champions. So they could, for example, take some local entrepreneurs or citizens as best practices or winning stories to describe the projects and demonstrate the benefit of these technologies, as this is some of the critical points that people don't understand the benefit of technology. And of course, as a general guideline throughout our project is to inform the replication manager in this case about any problem anytime, so that any problem can be solved on time before creating problems. As the final, let's say, slides of my presentation, we can sum up with this list of pros. So as we were saying, the organization of targeted workshops was one of the main effective tools that we organized, in particular the knowledge transfer workshops. It was one of the most important activity to transfer lessons learned and barriers, especially in order to support the fellow cities in avoiding those even before they appear. And the knowledge transfer efforts actually contributed to the establishment of a solid knowledge base on different perspectives on methodological, procedure, and administrative aspects in general related to a smart city. So this could be considered as an horizontal educational process that could be useful also outside the scope of our projects. Close and timely coordination with the fellow cities was very important to prevent any risk in advance as the replication manager perspective. And also for the organization of all meetings, events, workshop, etc., we always consulted our fellow cities in order to be as close as possible to what they really need to understand, so that we tried to build around them the agendas of our workshops so that they could feel heard and we could really target real interest, real topics that they would like to discuss with other partners. And finally, the creation of the documents that should be as easy as possible, of course, facilitated timely completion and consultation processes for the fellow cities. Next is the cons, so what we learned also as replication managers. The creation of the fact sheet has been a complex process because it was not always easy to gather such a technical, detailed information. And also on the other side, it's not always the case that the fellow cities and their internal staff not always have the enough technical competence to understand actually what it is reported in such technical documents. Too many tasks or too many documents to ask the fellow cities to fulfill might overload the municipalities, as of course they are working on a lot of other projects in parallel. So when creating those activities and asking them for contributions, of course, we should, as the replication managers, we should keep in mind the timelines when planning activities and meetings. And finally, this is very general to projects similar to the POCITYF one. The fellow cities didn't have enough budget to concretely work on implementations actions. So the limitation of budgets, of course, created some struggles for the fellow cities to work on the replication plans. And also, if other bigger projects are running in the municipality, the engagement of the fellow cities might be complicated on smaller scale projects, or might be less attractive if compared to other bigger structural measures. Final question for our part, I would say. So, based on your experience, what lessons have you drawn? What aspects would you have approached differently based on your activities? Maybe it's a bit of a hard question. But we know.
Sorry, Elena. If
yes,
someone wants to raise the hand and reply with the microphone with their own voice, it's okay as well.
Yeah, sure. We learned about this during our first analysis, that having this type of problems that also POCITYF has is quite common in such structured projects. Different regulatory contexts might hinder standardized replication effort. Absolutely. In POCITYF, we try to, in collaboration with some project partners, we try to give a very specific attention to this topic. We also organized the regulatory workshop in order to support the fellow cities in understanding the particularities of each context. So yes, of course. It is always good to have budget for implementation, even as a small pilot case. Yes, that's true. Activating citizen is very challenging. Yes, it's one of the main challenges, actually. Maybe more resources to cities to be able to better absorb lessons and even pilot small solution. Yes, it's similar to the other one. And yes, this might be partially a solution to the involvement of the fellow cities. Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much for your answers. Yeah, another answer. Okay, that's okay. High degree of complexity for coordinating big multi-stakeholders groups for PD. Yes. Also in POCITYF, we were many partners, so we know, we agree. Okay, so that was it for my replication presentation, and I would give the floor now to the colleagues from CERT, Vasilis and Eleni, to present their methodology. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elena. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar. My name is Vasilis Sougakis. I am a research associate with CERT, and for the purpose of in the framework of the POCITYF project, CERT was the acted as a technical support to the municipality of Ioannina in order to conduct the replication studies. And in this session, we will review the replication methodology that we used and the tools that we selected. Next slide, please. So just to begin with, we saw in the previous slides also some context. I will briefly repeat it here. So the aim for the replication activities was for the municipality of Ioannina to demonstrate the potential of developing positive energy blocks within the city. And this involved various innovative solutions in terms of economical, social, and environmental perspective. And this range of solutions was grouped in different groups, which we call energy transition tracks. And this involved solutions for positive energy buildings and districts, that's transition track 1. Peer-to-peer energy management and storage solutions for grid flexibility, transition track 2. And the mobility integration into smart grid and city planning, transition track 3. So today we'll discuss the methodology for conducting this analysis. We will provide an overview of the tools as well as some lessons learned from the process. The analysis that was conducted was in buildings and the positive energy blocks of Ioannina, city of Ioannina. These were 2 different blocks. One was the city center, which involved 7 different buildings within the city limits. So there was the Ioannina City Hall. Another building was the Pinchinella Traditional House or Pinchinella Mansion, as well as a series of school buildings, which together form the so-called Polykladiko school complex. So we investigated in these buildings some replication measures, and also in the neighborhood at the district level analysis, there was another positive energy block, which was called the Vrizula Social Housing Area, where we examined the energy upgrade of a whole neighborhood. Next slide, please. So the aim was to demonstrate the potential of achieving positive energy status in these buildings as part of the solutions, the technologies that were provided in Transition Track 1 and Transition Track 2. For us, the replication means that we have to conduct a preliminary feasibility analysis in order to investigate the effectiveness of the measures and the economic feasibility of these technologies. So the methodology that we used included first to identify suitable software that were able to conduct this analysis at the level that we wanted, building level and district level. We also mapped the existing conditions of the case study buildings and also identified the more suitable interventions that can be applied in these buildings. And next, to perform the energy and emissions and economic analysis of the proposed energy upgrade scenarios. And next slide, please. In order to select the most suitable tools for our case, we set a range of criteria and we reviewed various potential simulation tools. The criteria that we had set were their ability to simulate as much as possible the proposed technologies. This involved the building systems, renewable energy systems, and so on. Also, we wanted them to be user-friendly and have the ability to conduct preliminary analysis fast. We had acknowledged that in these cases, in such projects, we might have to involve various stakeholders from a technical team, from a municipality team. So ease of use was very important, and also cost effectiveness was also very important. So we wanted to see whether they would be also free to use or cheap to use, because various people might need to install the software and review the analysis. We wanted to have the ability to conduct the preliminary analysis fast in order to investigate different scenarios and have a straightforward results presentations, and if possible, to have some databases that will assist the users in finding technical information. Next one, please. So out of the various, we have here an indicative list of the tools that we selected, that we reviewed. We investigated their ability to perform the analysis at the level that we wanted, to see if they can model the systems that we wanted, and also whether they were commercial or free to use. And the tools that we finally selected for our analysis were RedScreen and the Energy Plan, which we will see now in the next few slides, their functionalities, the main functionalities and why we use them. So RedScreen was used for the building level analysis. It conducts simplified technical modeling for a range of technologies. It includes extensive databases, so click most of the criteria, but it's able to provide fast results, to conduct the analysis quick and provide fast results. It also has extensive financial and risk analysis capabilities, where we were able to investigate the financial performance. It's quite user-friendly, and there's lots of tutorials available for training, so it's fast. You can pick it up quite fast and start your work. It's also cost-effective, since it's free it has a free distribution for academic and research institutes at the moment. While you can also purchase an annual fee for 10 PCs for about this is 869 Canadian dollars, so about 550 euros at the moment. For the district level analysis, we use the Energy Plan, which is a software that was developed to analyze the energy, environmental, economic impact of national and regional energy systems. In some cases, it can be used for district scale, which was our case. It's able to simulate the operation of energy systems on an hourly basis. It's fairly user-friendly and can work with simplified top-level data, which is the case when we do a preliminary analysis. It also allows fast comparison of different scenarios, and it's free to use with lots of training material available, so the user can quickly pick it up and start using it. Also, lots of documentation. So, having selected our tools, the next step was to review the existing condition of the buildings, and then start review the specificities of the buildings, and then select the most suitable replication measures and the measures that we were using for the energy upgrade assessment of these buildings. And we used considered a range of different technologies. Some of them were from the replication measures from POCITYF, from the POCITYF pool of technologies that were provided by the project technology providers and were demonstrated in the Lighthouse City. And also considered additional measures from the city that were taken into account in the city's Sustainable Energy Action Plan. So we wanted to integrate the actions from the Sustainable Energy Action Plan to the study, and also involved additional common measures that are used that are suitable for the energy upgrade of buildings in Greece and the region of Ioannina. The simulation process was to conduct the building level analysis with the RedScreen software. And when we did the neighborhood, we aggregated the results from the buildings and used it as input for the district analysis in Energy Plan. We had to gather various different inputs for the tools to work. This regards climate conditions, also make some assumptions regarding the building internal conditions, specifications of the building fabric, as well as the building systems that were used, and as well as any renewable energy systems that we considered. And the output was all the energy consumption of the buildings in terms of heating, cooling, electricity, as well as any energy production and the resulting emissions reduction. As I said, in the case of the district analysis, we assessed the performance of the buildings, we aggregated them, and then used this as input for energy plan. So to collect the data, if we move on to the next slide, please. There was, to conduct the analysis and collect the data, we had to do some pre-processing. So that was the amount of work that we had to do before the analysis. We had to gather a great deal of information. And central to this was the information that was collected on site regarding the local conditions, the building, the site, any planning terms and restrictions, and so on. So that was a very important bit for conducting this analysis. This was then supplemented in order to use it as input in RedScreen with information obtained through relative literature and non-science or online sources regarding the internal conditions, the performance of the building systems that we consider, and so on. We also used, and that was particularly useful, the software databases. RedScreen has an extensive database of technologies. We also considered the feedback, had to collect feedback from partners regarding the technologies of the performance of their technologies and the specifications, as well as use some feedback from previous projects regarding some performance aspects. So that was the information that we collected before the analysis. We used it as input in the tools, and then we had to obtain the results. And the results were obtained in terms of the heating, cooling demand of the buildings, electricity demand. So we had the breakdown of all these different consumptions, as well as any PV production, direct use, and then from the battery, what was stored and used later. And then we had to do some data manipulation we had this breakdown of results where we had to aggregate them, do some manipulations, and conduct and calculate the project KPIs as well as common financial criteria in order to assess the effectiveness of the technologies. The most common KPIs that we used is primary energy savings, emissions reduction, the payback period, internal rate of return, and net present value for the financial analysis, as well as some more technical KPIs from the project, such as degree of energy self-supply. A summary of this analysis, the approach that we used is we followed the bottom to top approach from buildings to district. And the tools that were involved were found very useful in order to provide results with simplified top-level input, and also to conduct analysis quite fast, which was suitable for conducting parametric analysis and examining several different variations of replication measures in short time. So in some cases, we were able to review 2 or 3 different renovation scenarios. Gathering of input data was done through on-site collection, literature, and online software database, as well as assumptions. And for that, we had to have very close collaboration between the technical team and municipality team, and this is considered very critical for this type of studies. And also, we were able to calculate the basic expected KPIs to answer key questions, such as whether the technology is worth investing or whether we need to secure additional funding and so on. And at this stage, we would like to have your view also whether what should be prioritized to make replication both locally relevant and scalable. Yeah, I agree. This is very important. municipal team collaboration. Took a while to load. Yeah, input data is also quite important. That's great. Thank you all for your responses. And next, my colleague Eleni will present the process for the transition on track 3, which involved the e-mobility integration to the smart grid and city planning.
Hello, good morning from me as well. My name is Eleni Chobanidou, and I have been working for CERT for the past 5 years. I'm calling of Vasilis, and following his presentation, I would like to present the replication methodology followed in Ioanna for e-mobility solutions. The key message is that electric mobility is not only a transport solution, but also a research that can support energy system flexibility and urban sustainability. So the scope is, first of all, to explore how electromobility solution can support grid flexibility at the municipal level. Also to promote e-mobility as a key component of sustainable urban mobility in Ioanna. In addition, how to improve mobility options, reduce traffic congestion and lower emissions. And finally, to manage charging demand, reduce grid stress and support the integration of renewable energy. Next slide, please. Okay. This slide shows the building level analysis. We studied municipal buildings and added 3 technologies, photovoltaic systems, battery storage, and V2G chargers. The V2G chargers were modeled for 2 electric vehicles at each site every day, and the idea is to see how buildings can use and manage energy locally. Next slide. Okay. Here we explain the method and the results of the building analysis. We use yearly electricity use to create daily demand curves. We also calculate daily solar production and discharging profiles for V2G. The battery was set to charge only from solar power and discharge only to support the building. The result is that solar batteries and V2G can reduce grid use and improve local energy management. Next slide. Okay, thank you. This slide expands the study from one building to the whole district. The goal is to see the wider effect of e-mobility integration. We want to measure how much grid dependence can drop, how V2G changes to load curve, and how the whole network can work better. And okay, and that concludes the replication methodology section for Ioanna. Now, if you don't have any questions, I will give the floor to Mr. Konstantinos Mavropanos, who will present the replication experience of Ioanna Fellow City. Thank you.
Hello from me. Good morning. I'm Konstantinos Mavropanos. I'm a collaborator of the municipality of Ioanna the last months. I would like to apologize on behalf of Vasilis Tsouris, who is the head of the European programs, for not being here today. He's currently attending another project about e-car sharing, Althea. So let's start. Ioanna is a member of the European Mission of 100 climate neutral and smart cities. And the targets of these are particularly ambitious, aiming to reduce the city's carbon footprint to net zero. About the POCITYF project and the renovation actions, following the approach and other lighthouse initiatives, the municipality is implementing energy upgrades for the 4 cases that Vasilis said previously: Ioanna City Hall, Pristinella Traditional Mansion, Polykladiko School Complex, and the Vrissula Social Housing Area. This slide highlights the 3 sustainable mobility actions, developing the cycling network, expanding of electric vehicle charging infrastructure, and promoting the shared e-mobility services, including e-car sharing. Next, please. About the experience of the municipality that gained from POCITYF, the municipality participates in this period in 4 European projects, such as Elaborator, which is about the development of cycling-friendly cities, the Mobilities, which is about the advanced traffic management practices, Terrain, which is about pilot electronic hiking sharing actions, and Althea, which is about e-car sharing. The key challenges for the implementation are, of course, the limited funding availability. For that, the municipality has its own funds, or the Green Fund from the government. The regulatory and institutional barriers, especially for cycling infrastructure and e-car sharing, and the limited public space and road capacity, restricting the development of alternative mobile routes. Let's answer the question why these POCITYF solutions were selected. They were selected based on the city's actual needs, technical constraints, and implementation capacity, aligned with the municipality of Ioanna's strategic priorities, such as climate neutrality, energy efficiency, sustainable mobility, and improved public services, and contribute to resilience, social well-being, and urban modernization. Let's talk about the challenges in applying the replication methodology. The main challenges lies moving from analysis to implementation. The key barriers include governance issues, stakeholder engagement, regulatory barriers, financial constraints, technical complexity, and organizational capacity limitations. And how the methodology supported Ioanna in practice, it helped the city to learn from the lighthouse cities and adapt the solutions to the local needs and the local conditions. And the expected benefits that for Ioanna were expecting the lower energy consumptions, reduced operating costs, lower emissions, and greater energy resilience. These solutions can improve the daily life, making more comfortable public buildings, make the air quality better and more sustainable mobility options. What is the key condition for moving from application analysis to real implementation?
Thank you so much, Konstantinos, for your participation, for your contents, and yeah, this is the final part of the session. Of course, we are open to your ideas, to your if you want to discuss it, and open your microphone and camera and jump in. Just raise your hand, and we can share our thoughts together. Hopefully, with all of you. And of course, Serena, if you want to jump in and say a few more words or comment on the presentation, the previous presentation, please take the lead and the floor.
Yeah, so basically, Ioannina was one of our fellow cities, mainly focusing aspects related to the cultural heritage, because in POCITYF, basically, we have two types of cities, also according to our lighthouse cities that are Alkmaar and Évora. Alkmaar stands for a more industrial type of buildings and city structure, let's say, while Évora is more related to the cultural heritage side. And of course, this results in a very different ways on how the different cities can approach the installation of technical solutions, because as you might imagine, Évora has a lot of problems with the cultural heritage protection and all the laws that must be respected. And this structure is also reflected of our fellow cities. So we have 3 fellow cities that are more close to Alkmaar, let's say to the industrial type. And the other 3 are more related to the cultural heritage side. And Ioannina was one of this. And I can see that here some responses are coming, and maybe commitment is the most answered one. And yes, this is one of the main topics. And also this is one of the problems that the fellow cities have in this type of project, because of course, usually the lighthouses are the ones more let's say, with a deeper technical ecosystem around. All the activities tend to be focused on their demonstration activities, but it's important not to forget the role of the fellow cities. And as replication managers, we try to do as much as possible to support this process in POCITYF, even with all the problems that we all know about the nature of this this project. Yeah, also other resources, commitment, funding, budget, targeted focus, financial resources, long-term commitment, yes, has commitment, and local ownership. So yeah. In POCITYF, we try to support our fellow cities, encouraging them, hoping that in the future, what we develop in POCITYF will result in concrete projects. And in our case, this might be the case, I would say. as some of the fellow cities, by looking at the activities that the lighthouses were performing, they started to investigate even other areas outside the replication areas, other technologies that they didn't know before seeing them in the project. So hopefully they will, with their own means, of course, they will progress and result in concrete results. That's also our replication objective. If there are questions, of course, feel free to raise your hand and open your mic. And yes.
Well, if not, I think that we can wrap it up earlier than expected, because this is the last engagement slide we prepared for you. So if you don't want to engage with our speakers for any questions or doubt, you have a few seconds more. But if you don't, well, thank you for your participation, for joining us, and I hope that you gather important and interesting information for your replication plans. And thank you for all the speakers as well for your great and precious contributions. And see you soon all around our projects.
Thank you for organizing this. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.